Greetings, YouTube, and happy Halloween, because today, on that time of this filming, it is Halloween and my wedding anniversary. Today we're going to be taking a look at the film Blood-Sucking Bastards. Now, I bought this cold. I just happened to see it at Newberry Comics, and the blurb on the back and the blurb on the front grabbed me, not to mention the cast. So we have Fran Kranz, don't know Fran, didn't know Fran, Pedro Pascal. Now him I know, and I like him. I'm like, okay, Pedro Pascal, I haven't seen a lot of movies with him in it. Let's get that. Let's pick this up. Emma Fitzpatrick, didn't know who she was. Quite enjoyed her in this role. Yvette Yates, who I didn't know, but still solid. Joel Murray, the youngest of the Murray clan. Um, he was probably the biggest role. Was probably in Scrooged with his older brother. 9 of them, actually. I didn't know that until I looked it up. And Joey Kern, who I didn't know until I saw this film. And the blurb on the front is, work. It sucks the life out of you. So how can I sum this up? Office space with vampires. Now, if you enjoy a horror comedy, this movie is right up your little blood-sucking alley. I am not a fan of horror. Not like the modern horror. I don't want to be scared. I don't want somebody getting into my head and terrifying me. And I despise the whole torture porn genre of films. I don't need to watch human beings suffer. I see enough human beings suffer in real life at the hands of social conservatives. So I don't need to see that in a film for entertainment. So it's rare for me to find a horror film that I really enjoy. I do enjoy a lot of the classics, like a lot of the Christopher Lee and the Vincent Price classic horror movies. We have quite a few of those in our collection. The Tomb of Legia is one I just saw recently, which I have to review, which was excellent. I love Price. He was a gem. He was a great gift to us, both as a person and as an actor, and a great bisexual icon. If you also like gore, now gore is tricky because gore can fall into those categories of torture porn or like some of the Italian style of horror film that were so popular in the 70s. Gore can really be terrifying, but gore can also be over the top and highly absurd, and that's what they do with it in here. Now, this is going to have spoilers in it. Everything else I've told you so far is not a spoiler. It's right there on the blurb, okay? The vampire bit is not hidden. So if you don't want to know anything more about this film, stop listening now. Go out, get yourself a copy, rent a copy or something. It's very entertaining. I really enjoyed it. And there is a outtakes and a Dr. God audio commentary, which I'm not quite sure what that means, but I will look it up eventually. I'm keeping this one in my collection. But the essence of the storyline is that there is a failing business. They sell dubious medical supplies, things that you see as seen on TV stuff, infomercials late at night. My company has a television that runs 24/7 in the caf, and during the daytime it's news for the most part, but at night they show real estate stuff. They show this one Talk Stoop, I think it is. Oh, I see so many episodes of that, and the same ones day after day. But they also have lots of infomercials for medical devices. Shoe implants for make your walk better, or fish oil and things like that. Some of them are far more dubious, and that's the kind of thing that these people do. They sit in an office and they try to sell you things you don't really need. They're selling you, as Pedro Pascal says in this, they're selling you fear. They want you to be afraid, and you're providing them with the product that will assuage those fears, which is a good encapsulation of capitalism, really. So it's a failing business. And in comes this hot shot who's going to turn it around, who is Pedro Pascal. And he looks awesome in this. Comes in this really well-cut suit, just he's the kind of guy that knows what to say to what people to make them feel like he's listening to them and he's their friend. He is absolutely fake, but he looks good. He sounds good. And he does look good, excellent. He looks like it's like Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill looks way better in a suit than he does as Superman. Um, and over the course of the film, you begin to realize that things are not what you believe, and that people are slowly being literally consumed and turned into vampires. And as they become vampires, they become super efficient employees. So as they die and they become vampires, they become the employees that the company needs to turn itself around until you eventually realize that the boss, who's Joel Murray, has intentionally brought in the vampires. He knew they were vampires. And he was under the impression they were eventually going to turn him into a vampire and that he would be in charge of the boss. That's not Pedro Pascal's uh, mission. He wants to be in charge. There's also a subplot of like Pedro Pascal's character had been sleeping with some of the guy's girlfriends and one of the other characters who caused a big ruckus, and so now he's going to steal this guy's love interest. So there's some love interest things going on here, and it's never tasteless. There's never uh, gratuitous nudity or anything. Everything takes place in the office essentially. Um, it's a what do they call those things? Is it a bottle job or something? There's a term in filmmaking when you do a scene or an episode of a television series where everything's done on like one set because you want to save money. That's what it comes off correct. There wasn't a lot of money spent on that. In fact, there's not a lot of special effects in this at all, except that when vampires die, they explode like blood-filled water balloons. It is completely over the goddamn top, and it is glorious. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I bought again. I picked it off the shelf. I'm like, it was October 30th. It's Halloween, the night before Halloween. And I'm like, okay, night of Halloween. I need to get something like this, and I got this as a little Halloween treat. It wasn't going to be really terrifying. It looked like I enjoy a good comedy horror, and here we are. Enough gore and laughs to fill even the biggest of caskets. Steve Barton from Dread Central. I don't know who Dread Central is or Steve Barton, but he is in fact correct. Um, a hell of a lot of fun. And I didn't catch everything, but there are things going on in the background, like absurd things that if you can catch them, they're non sequiturs or things like that. And numerous points in the film, they're playing a video game because they're crappy employees, so they're at work playing video games, but they're playing an actual video game, a real world one that you can go and get on Steam. Um, that involves hunting zombies. Um, So there's things going on that if you catch them, it adds depth to it. And I really enjoy when a film does that. Everything isn't here. There's things going on. The world has a depth and a verisimilitude to it that pulls you in and makes you believe it's real. And you believe these people are real. Seriously, an office full of slackers and people that just don't care. They sell this, and it's not absurd selling. It's just like, yeah, these people sound like real human beings that you'd meet in an office. Maybe not at this concentration level, it's just a comedy, but yeah, every single person you bump into in this film, you would seriously at some point in your career, if you've ever worked in an office or even in manufacturing like I do, you will bump into these people. So they very much feel like a real thing. So if you enjoy horror comedy, I definitely recommend getting a copy or renting a copy, whatever, of Blood Sucking Bastards. It was a hell of a lot of fun.